Hey guys, Tyler from Duelcaster here, welcoming you to another Duel Commander match. Did I mention that I like combo? I like combo. This one I have today is based around the enchantment Aluren, and it has a lot of awesome combos in it. The commanders are Thrasios and Tymna, which can be flashed into play for free with Aluren, but also are just good value cards on their own. And my opponent is running Grenzo Dungeon Warden. This is primarily a Goblin tribal deck, but it has some combo elements in it, kind of mostly around Kiki Jiki. It's my buddy Hello Newton is piloting it, and it's made for a really interesting match, so I hope you enjoy. Okay, this first hand I decided to keep because I have 4 lands and a 1-drop and a 2-drop, and I have all my colors, so I play an Overgrown Tune untapped into Essence Warden, which is a nice value / combo card in this deck. With Mana War and Aluren, you get infinite life. So on my next turn, I go Fauna Shaman, which is basically a survival of the fittest on a stick. And I want as many of those type of effects as I can get in this deck. On his turn, he plays Mesmeric Fiend. This nasty little bugger comes into play and rips a card out of my hand, 9-land card, and then I get it back if it dies. He gets my only card, only valid target, Dusk Till Dawn. I'm getting a lot of lands here, but I still have 2 commanders in the command zone. How nice. And so I play Tymna, attack with Fauna Shaman, and draw a card, and then I get Fatal Push off the draw, the Tymna draw. He then plays Goblin King on his turn, which goes into the theme of his deck, which is Goblin Tribal. Passes back to me. On my turn, I attack with Tymna, which is kind of a judgment call. I didn't think he would block, but he ended up blocking, so it turns out to be kind of maybe not the best for me. But on his turn, he goes crack a fetch land into Grenzo, and I assume he's going to activate the Grenzo with the extra 2 mana, but he decides to play Aether Vial, which gives me an opening to Fatal Push the Grenzo. But there's Aether Vial there, a really strong card, especially in this deck with a lot of low CMC creatures. So I get to kill Grenzo before he gets to activate it, which is nice, but then he has Aether Vial plus Skull Clamp, 2 really powerful cards. In his end turn, I Enlightened Tutor for opposition. I could have got Aluren here, but I decided that opposition might be a more surefire, more consistent path to victory here, because with Aluren I'd have to still draw another creature to transmute with Fauna Shaman. So I play opposition, and then on his upkeep tap 2 lands in response to the Aether Vial trigger. So he's a little constrained on mana, but still able to cast Brain Maggot, which is another Mesmeric Fiend type effect. And luckily for me, I have no targets that he can steal with Brain Maggot, but that just makes it, for him, all the more attractive to clamp up to try to draw some cards and get out of this opposition mess. Opposition's a tough one for red-black. They have no real way to get a enchantment off the board easily. I draw a Duress on my turn and get the Demonic Tutor out of his hand, which is nice. He has a few creatures. I got to keep that in mind with the Aether Vial, how many counters the Aether Vial has. But I still think it's okay to play Tymna and attack with Fauna Shaman to draw a card, because I don't think he's going to trade 2 of his 1 toughness creatures for my Fauna Shaman when he has Skull Clamp out. So I was correct in that. And then on his turn, on his upkeep, I tap 2 lands once again with opposition, and he still has 4 mana, so he recasts Grenzo. This time you have to pay the commander tax, and on my turn I draw a Wasteland, so I immediately use that to kill his Mutavault, going along with the theme of denying him mana off opposition. Then I activate Fauna Shaman to turn Pharaoh's Warden into Vengeful Rebel and cast it, and since I used Wasteland earlier in the turn, I have Revolt active, so I play Vengeful Rebel and then target his Grenzo with the triggered ability. I figured this way, 3 power creatures better than 1 power, and I'd rather kill Grenzo dead. So I then attack with Tymna and then draw Prowling Serpapard, but I still have enough mana to play Thrasios, and I have 3 creatures so that I can tap down 3 mana sources this time on his upkeep with opposition, which is nice. So he's really starting to get choked on mana. He's still drawing lands, but he does some desperation skull clamping of his creatures. Meanwhile, I have 5 creatures in opposition, so I'm feeling pretty good. The last card he plays out is Legion Loyalist, which is not quite gonna get the job done on this board, but hey, it's skull clampable, right? On my turn, I play my Prowling Serpapard, and I guess 6th creature is the nail in the coffin for my opponent. He decides to concede, which I can understand. It's no fun playing against opposition when I have that many creatures. All right, game 2. I see a hand that would be great if I had a green source, but I don't, so I don't think it's worth risking. This second hand looks pretty good. I got a turn 1 Birds of Paradise and any color of mana I could possibly want. I scry Parasitic Strix to the bottom because I feel like I can search for that later if I need to. It's not the greatest card on its own. So on my turn 1, I play Birds of Paradise. He has an Aether Vial already ticking up. He plays Grenzo on turn 2. On my turn, I draw Leovold, which is a really nice draw. Really solid play on turn 2. This card is more of a value card in my deck. I don't have any particular combos with it, just it's a card that you can put into play off Aluren, maybe sneakily deny them some draws. Spinerock Knoll comes into play on my opponent's side. This is a nice... These hideaway lands are great in Grenzo because they can basically scry 3 valid targets to the bottom of his deck to use with Grenzo. But on my turn, I go Tymna, attack with Leovold. He Aether Vials in a Pile Driver, Goblin Pile Driver, which has protection from blue, so he can just free block the Leovold with it. And then he Grenzo's Kiki-Jiki into play, makes a copy of his Goblin Pile Driver. There's Kiki-Jiki, really strong, one of the best cards in the Grenzo deck. He makes a copy of the Pile Driver, but times it a little bit off, so the copy goes away at the end of my turn. So then on his turn he plays Legion Loyalist, which this time is really quite a good card, giving his guys trample and first strike. Then he makes a copy of the Pile Driver and attacks with the team. I block the Legion Loyalist with Tymna because I still have enough life to play with, but I'm kind of in desperation mode now. On my turn, I cast Eladamri's Call for Fairgrounds Warden and cast the Fairgrounds Warden to take out Kiki-Jiki. I hope to stem the bleeding here, but he's got a lot of free mana. He puts Goblin Bushwhacker into play at the end of my turn, which is just a 1/1, but hey, any Goblin is scary, especially when he has Goblin Pile Driver in play. My plan is just block the Pile Driver with Tymna, but he does not allow that for me because he goes Ember Hauler and Goblin Chieftain, so I see the writing on the wall there. There's no way I could survive that attack, so I scoop it up. So, game 3. I'm on the play, and I see quite a nice hand here. I got that turn 1 Essence Warden again, and some interaction in the form of Fairgrounds Warden, and some tutor abilities. So, I already mentioned Essence Warden, pretty strong card, especially against his deck. He has a lot of creatures, but he has a hideaway land again, which is scary because he could really stack the bottom of his deck. But on my turn 2, the best thing I can do is play Thrasios, so that's what I do. He goes Grenzo, and I'm very scared to let him untap with that, so I play Fairgrounds Warden, exiling Grenzo, and then I attack for 2. On his turn, he plays Goblin Sharpshooter, which kind of throws a wrench in my plans. I was going to play Brain Maggot, kind of see if the coast is clear, but the Sharpshooter can pick off any 1 toughness creature and then untap anytime a creature dies. He goes Krenko Mob Boss. On the end of his turn, I play Eladamri's Call for Cavern Harpy, and then I play Tainted Pact, which, if you're not familiar, lets you keep exiling cards until you decide to put one in your hand, or if you have 2 cards with the same name, then it just kind of fizzles out if that happens. But I'm digging for Aluren here. I have to go pretty deep. The Tainted Pact is pretty good in this deck because being 4 colors, I don't have to play a lot of basics. And if you have, like, let's say you have 10 snow-covered islands or islands in your deck, you have a much higher chance of fizzling out with Tainted Pact. But I just keep digging until I get to Aluren, and in the process, I have to exile a ton of cards that I would like Opposition, Parasitic Strix, and Colostre Healer. my two main win conditions, but I finally get to it after digging down like 40 cards. So get to cast Aluren while he's tapped out, which is really nice, and then pass the turn because I can do everything at instant speed. On his turn, he plays a Lightning Crafter, which is a very good card against me if he ever gets to untap with it or give it haste somehow. So with Champion on the stack, he taps Krenko to make 3 Goblin tokens and then champions one of the Goblin tokens. And the end of his turn, I put into play Tymna for free off Aluren. And then I draw Diabolic Intent, which is a really good draw because otherwise I wouldn't have necessarily had any combos with Cavern Harpy. But this way I get to see the rest of my deck, which is only like 40 cards at this point. And I see the one remaining blue or black creature that I can get that combos with Cavern Harpy and Aluren, which is Orzhov Pontiff. It's a very, very strong card right now. So he uses Aluren to put in Ember Hauler into play. Aluren is symmetrical, so he can flash in creatures too. But by the way, there's Cavern Harpy. I forgot to zoom in on it earlier. So he starts to shoot my guys in response to Orzhov Pontiff because he knows I'm going to shrink his whole team with the Pontiff. So he uses the combination of Goblin Sharpshooter and Ember Hauler to take down Fairgrounds Warden and Tymna, but I save Tymna with Cavern Harpy. All right, so Pontiff comes into play, shrinks his whole team, then I bounce the Harpy, and then replay the Harpy in order to bounce the Pontiff back and recast it. This is a loop to annihilate his whole team, basically shrink them down to as low toughness as I want, and then I could do the same thing to pump my guys. I wouldn't have had to kill that turn because he tried to kill Tymna, and I had no creatures without summoning sickness, but he decides to concede anyway because he doesn't think he can beat the Pontiff Cavern Harpy Aluren combo, which is probably true. Anyway, that was a pretty interesting match. I got to see the Aluren combo finally in the final game, and my opponent's Grenzo go off in game 2. You can see the power of those hideaway lands to stack your deck. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. And if you have any ideas for other commanders, other deck types, or anything like that, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you later.